Listen, I understand that sometimes we're just in a dire financial situation, but we are still holding on to values where we require, for the sake of our family, quality foods. This episode is meant to address that. It's born of my own financial history, my own financial struggles in life while raising children and not being willing to feed them junk. This episode, we are going to talk about 4 frugal ways to source quality prenatal nutrition. Welcome to DIY Birth. I'm Chaya, traditionally trained birth guardian, birth educator, and mother of 4 unassisted home-birthed boys. Okay, number 1, backyard chickens. Okay, this sounds like a really expensive endeavor, and I feel like because homesteading and backyard homesteading and all of that has become so trendy, there are a lot of gadgets and gizmos and really pretty coops and really pretty fun setups, very creative ways to, or things, items, and products and whatnot to buy, that it can seem like this is like a rich man's game, but it's really not. I grew up out in the country. We scrapped crap together. We made it happen. And that's totally possible. It's totally doable. We reused spaces. Chickens need a place to be up and roost, and they need a place to be down, to eat and have water, and they need space. And that's almost it. And if you're trying to collect eggs from these chickens, the chickens will need a little private nook somewhere where they feel like that's the safe place and that's the nesting spot. And usually a little bit of privacy goes a long way for them. But literally we're talking, like, let's say we've got a nest that's in the corner of a box with some hay in it. And it's otherwise completely open to the rest of the world. They don't care. One of my chickens, or one of the times in my life of having chickens, our chickens literally found this like little kind of grassy-ish patch tucked behind a tree and between a tree and a fence. They don't care. It just needs to have a little bit of privacy. It's almost like they're going to the bathroom for a moment and they don't want you to look at them very much. Okay. They just need to have that little space and they'll lay their eggs. And we have 8 chickens right now and all of them share the same nest. It's actually really annoying sometimes if I'm trying to collect eggs and yet another chicken is sitting on it to lay another egg, which is, praise God, but okay. So I'm kind of carrying on about the chickens. My point is they run themselves in a really big way, and they don't need much, okay? If you don't have like full grown adult chickens to take from somebody, or like to, Facebook Marketplace, or maybe you're in town or something like that, being in town obviously is going to come with complications. You'll have to figure that out for yourself. But as far as somebody who does maybe have a little backspace area, a little open space area where you could keep chickens, a lot of the time people are getting rid of chickens, or their flock has gotten too big, or there's something on Facebook Marketplace. You can buy eggs online. Eggs are super cheap if you're going to hatch them yourselves. You don't need a fancy incubator. Those get crazy expensive, and they get crazy in general. You just need, you could literally reuse a styrofoam cooler. It just needs not an LED light, a fluorescent, no, not fluorescent. I'm going to put the word here that I mean, because I can't remember it right now. But anyway, you just need a light that produces heat. It doesn't even have to be a fancy heat lamp, okay? A light that produces heat and a cup of water somewhere close to that heated, light bulb, and to create that like space. Okay. They just need a little bit of warmth and a little bit of moisture. That doesn't have to be a whole fancy thing. Okay. You got to go and rotate them occasionally. That's really it. We country this crap. We scrap it together. Okay. Chicks, if you get little baby chicks, they're also pretty cheap. Unless there's some crazy thing happening, like what happened here a couple of years ago, here in Montana. That's another story. So chicks are super cheap. Eggs are even cheaper. And ta-da. So you have chickens, okay? It really doesn't have to be a whole shebang. It just takes time, and it may take some creativity. You may have to drive around and look for some scrap bits of whatever, but I'm sure it's there. There's always a stick somewhere, a big, like a branch. Somebody's got a branch, right? You'll find a branch. You can do it, and you could stick that, just lift it off the ground somewhere in a safe, a shed or something like that, and ta-da, you have a roost. Okay, doesn't have to be fancy. You can scrap it together. Okay, for bedding, if you really need bedding, because they're fine with dirt, and they actually do need dirt also, because they do what's called dusting. It's like their own kind of, it's like a dust bath. They do this whole funny thing. It looks ridiculous. Sometimes I look out there and they look flat and dead, and chickens are weird. But anyway, for the situations in which you would need some kind of bedding, you can literally use herbs. You can use, as long as it's not too moist, like it doesn't need, like I'm talking about something like lavender, like or like the tall grasses that you might find, like wild grasses and things like that. Go get a machete and freaking hack those things down. We literally did that for the first bit of our coop, because we had acquired chickens kind of suddenly and didn't have time yet to go get hay. And the coop that we had was just particle board, but it was not pleasant for the chickens. So I went out and hacked down a bunch of grasses and threw that in there, and they were totally fine. So you could use weeds, you could use dandelions, you could use straw. Just go get a straw bale. Those are usually pretty cheap at Ace, it's the hardware store or whatever. It again doesn't have to be super fancy. Do your research. There's probably like 1 million books and things out there these days. But once again, it can be super cheap. So when you need to feed them, like if you don't have grass and bugs and things for them to scratch around and eat, you can feed them table scraps like greens and things like that. You can feed them mealworms and bugs and whatever you find. My husband literally is so gross. He catches flies. He stuns them, catches them, and throws them to the chickens and thinks it's hilarious. And they eat the flies. I mean, they're very handy. We've literally brought a chicken inside the house to eat a spider that we couldn't reach, and just lifted her up to the spider, and she ate the spider. I'm not even kidding. Okay. They need the protein. They eat bugs and all of that. You can feed them leftover whey if you make yogurt. You can supplement with feed, with actual chicken feed. Of course, you can go buy that. You can also look up recipes and make your own. I haven't actually done that yet, but one of my good friends does that, and I keep forgetting to ask her for her recipe so that I can start making my own, because she says it's much cheaper to make her own. So I'm going to start doing that, and you can start doing that. And what you get from these backyard chickens is eggs. Obviously, you get eggs, and if you're really ambitious, you can grow meat chickens and have chicken. It's possible. This used to be poor man stuff, right? It's like thrifting. It's like going thrifting. Everything's so dang expensive now because it got really trendy. But the good news with the whole chicken thing is that it's actually still not expensive, as long as you're not trying to go for these fancy dancy, gizmos and all the things. You don't think you have to get the incubator that rotates it for you and is on a timer and tells you when your birthday is and celebrates your mother's anniversary and all this stuff. You don't need all of that. You can get a box. Something that holds moisture, though. So not just like cardboard. Anyway, again, I'm not trying to make this a homesteading episode, but just to impress on you how available that really is for you. There are so many supplement brands out there. Let me help you out. We Heart Nutrition offers a non-GMO, third-party tested men's and women's multivitamins, pregnancy and postpartum essentials, magnesium, and more. Their supplements are gluten-free with absolutely no artificial flavors or added preservatives. They're also pro-mama, pro-baby, and pro-life. 10% of each purchase is donated to pro-life pregnancy resource centers across the U.S. Check them out if you're searching for quality supplements from a brand with shared values. Use the link in my show notes or use code Earthbound to get 20% off your first order at We Heart Nutrition. Okay, moving on. Second thing that is a frugal way to source quality prenatal nutrition: trade or barter with gardening, farming, hunting, ranching neighbors. You can trade goods or work for food. I have a farmer friend here locally who has just started up actually a group where a bunch of us are going to be getting together, and we're going to be working on her farm once a week, with our kids and everybody together, and we're going to be working on it for her. And in return, we are going to get some of the produce that we're contributing to the growth of, and that really, I feel like that really is a thing that's still alive and well in farming, ranching communities. Ranching maybe not as much, because we're talking about animals, and there's a lot more to caring for an animal than for a plant. But I bet you, where there's a will, there's a way. If there really is somebody out there, if you actually know a rancher, if you actually know a farmer, you know someone who's keeping a beautiful garden, with their tomatoes and their whatevers, if you go and you, in earnest, ask, is there a way that I can help you with this and we can get some kind of trade going? Or if you have a craft, if you have something of value that you can create for somebody, or a skill that you can offer in exchange, do old school bartering, old school trading. Think of it that way. What can you get? I've had families that have families that I've served that were ranchers, and I got meat in exchange for what I was, our relationship and what we were doing together. And it was delicious. It's the best beef. My husband loves it. It's like, so good, because they're very well taken care of cows, and that's a family that really does care about their animals. But the point is that I didn't have to buy meat, and it was very good quality meat. I just had to offer something in exchange. Okay, so number 3 thing: avoid chain grocery stores and get to know your small businesses and their owners. Keep an eye out for local specials or deals. So there are chain grocery stores all over. And you know what? Maybe there are some programs that those chain grocery stores that you're close to, maybe there are some programs that you might qualify for, or you might be able to volunteer for, like be a part of, and maybe there's some kind of like exchange going on there. But for sure, small businesses, getting to know their owners, making it known that you're a local and you care and you value taking care of your neighbors in this way by being a customer of their business and not some big chain that ultimately doesn't care about you. It speaks to them. Okay. And then you can build a relationship, and you can keep an eye out for opportunities, or, if they know you, they get to know you, and they know you well, they know you're reliable. There were times, again, in my own financial dire situations where I couldn't afford, I had gotten a bunch of groceries. I thought there was more in the bank account than there was. And my card got declined, and I didn't know what I was going to do. And those people, because they were my neighbors and I shopped there as much as I could, they literally gave me a box full of food with an IOU and didn't bother me about it at all. And I just knew I paid them back as soon as I could. But that was amazing. And that's because there are humans in there. and we are humaning together. And that's the power of real human connection and real relationship with people who are also out there working on their dreams and things like that, right? Like creating their business and keeping it going and building wealth for their families and things like that. That's all meaningful stuff that I know probably speaks to you if you're in a place of dire financial need. We're all in this. We're all in this. We're all in this together. I kind of ruined my own my own thing with that song that I love so much. Okay, little soapbox moment over, but it doesn't negate the power of it, okay? Sometimes there are like flyers from other locals that are just using the business as like their little bulletin board, right? Where somebody's looking to go in on, again, especially if you're in a community kind of like Montana, all over Montana, but communities like this, sometimes there's somebody selling a full cow's worth of meat, and there's another family out there that is trying to find a second family to go in on this cow with, and you can, divvy up, like, you could sort it out amongst you and that family and whoever you're buying from and stuff like that. There's all kinds of creative ways, but you might have to get creative, and most importantly, connecting with these other humans, building a relationship, and seeing what blooms from that, what blossoms from that. The final one, number 4, frugal way to source quality prenatal nutrition, or just nutrition in general, is to go halfsies. I kind of jumped the gun apparently. Go halfsies with another family on whole meat animals. So we're talking steers, which can be pretty expensive, but there's also sheep. There's also goats. There's chickens. There are other kind of animals, hunted, animals from a hunt. There are raw milk sources. If you ask around and maybe avoid the trendy influencer raw milk sales gal or sales guy. And not that there's anything wrong with people selling in that certain kind of way, but it's just usually they're a little bit more commercialized in a way as far as like the vibe goes, in my experience. But that also is still just a human experience. So maybe if that's all that's available to you, go and talk to them. Maybe there's a chore you can do on their ranch that they really don't want to do, and that isn't a big deal to have somebody else in there, and you can exchange a little bit of your time and your effort for some raw milk in return, right? Maybe it's a weekend thing, blah, blah, blah. There's all kinds of opportunities. But especially if you find, some old ranching couple, or, another family that sources their milk from a certain group or whatever, maybe there's something that you could work out there where, you could trade off, or you could be the milkmaid or the milkman or whatever. Like, you're the one going to pick up their milk for them and bring it to them, and as thanks or whatever, you get some of the milk or whatever. Again, that entirely depends on what you have available, who's around you, what you're willing to do or able to do. But it doesn't all have to be money, is my main point, my whole kind of conclusion here. It doesn't have to be money that gets you this quality food. Again, especially if you're somebody who highly, highly values good quality food, non-poison food, non-high processed food, and you're just trying to feed your family or feed yourself and a growing baby or something like that. These are potential solutions that I think a lot of people are not, it's just not at the top of people's minds. And praise God, I have been in communities that are really good at taking care of each other. And that's where I've sort of been able to come up with these solutions. And sometimes we just need somebody to tell us it's possible, we can do it, you can try, in order to get that, that fire under our butt. so that we can go take care of business and get it done for ourselves. So that's the episode. I told you, I think I meant to tell you, if I didn't tell you, that this was going to be a short one, but it's an important one. It's a good one. It's served me in my times of dire financial need. And so I hope that it blesses you in the same kind of way. What are some other frugal ways to source quality nutrition? Let me know in the comments below. Remember, if you like this kind of conversation, you like what I say here on a regular basis, and you are venturing into your parenthood journey for the first time or for another time, make sure you check out the Secret Series, link in the show notes. It's a great free resource for members only, but you could become a member. It is designed to help you orient around what might be good next steps depending on where you're at in your journey. Otherwise, feel free to share your input in the comments below and try to keep things civilized. Remember, we can only do our best with the tools that we have. If you've gotten value out of this video, give us a like, subscribe, or consider donating through our website, through my website at earthboundparenting.org. With that, bye-bye for now.